An algebraic fraction is a fraction that's got an algebraic expression on its top or the numerator and an algebraic expression on the bottom or its denominator. The expressions may be monomials, binomials, or polynomials. For example, xy over z is an algebraic fraction that's got xy or x times y as its numerator and z as its denominator. In the same way, pq plus 1 over r is another algebraic fraction that's got p times q plus 1 as its numerator and r on the denominator. Similarly, you could have a squared plus 3a plus 3 as the numerator and a squared minus a plus 6 as the denominator of an algebraic fraction. The numerator and the denominator of an algebraic fraction contains variables or unknowns that represent numbers, and therefore you could do math with these fractions the same way as you would do with fractions having numbers on them. In this video, we are going to learn how to simplify algebraic fractions. Let's say you want to simplify the fraction 36 p to the 7th power over negative 4 p to the 2nd power. The idea still remains the same as you would do with normal fractions. You could simplify 36 and 4 because 36 over 4 is 9. So we have a 9 on the top and then p to the 7th over p to the 2nd. That means there are 7 p's on the top and 2 p's on the bottom, and they're all multiplied. The 7 p's on the top are multiplied, the 2 p's on the bottom are multiplied. So you could cross up the 2 p's from the bottom with 2 p's from the top. In other words, you could apply the law of exponent and get a p to the 5th on the top, and then over everything from the bottom is gone. There's just this negative sign. So you have a negative 1 on the bottom, and anything divided with negative 1 is, you get the same thing, 9p to the 5th with the sign changed. So the answer is negative 9p to the 5th. Let's try another one. Let's say we have a squared plus 3a on the top over a plus 3 on the bottom. You want to rewrite each expression as a product of factors and see if you could cross cancel any of the factors. So we are going to rewrite this as, on the top we have a common factor between the two terms. A squared and 3a has got a as a common factor. Take it out. Parentheses, a times a is a squared plus a times 3 is 3a. Therefore we have a times a plus 3 over a plus 3. So we have a common factor between the numerator and the denominator. Cross them off. The answer is a over 1, which is equal to a. So the simplified form of this fraction is just a. How about, let's say, x squared minus 1 over x plus 1 whole square. That means x plus 1 times x plus 1 on the bottom. You probably know that a square minus b square can be factorized as a plus b times a minus b. If you don't, then you could open this up, apply FOIL or first, outer, inner and last on this and see if you get this one. And then try and remember this because this is very useful. So we have x square minus 1 over here. We could rewrite that as x square minus 1 square because 1 is the same as 1 square. And then look what happens. X is our a and 1 is our b. So we could rewrite the top as a plus b, which is x plus 1 times x minus 1. And then on the bottom, we have a square over here outside the parentheses, means it's the same as x plus 1 times x plus 1. So x plus 1 is a common factor. Cross them off. And we have x minus 1 on the top over x plus 1 on the bottom, which is a simplified form of this one. How about t minus 2 on the top and t squared plus 6t minus 16 on the bottom? we cannot factorize the top. T minus 2 cannot be factorized. So we should try and factorize if we can. Remember, there is no guarantee that we would be able to factorize or simplify the fraction. But we should try and factorize the denominator, which is a quadratic expression, t squared plus 6t minus 16. So we have t minus 2 on the top, and then on the bottom we have t squared, and the idea is to split up this plus 60 into two parts, so that the sum of the two numbers is positive 6 and their product is a 1 times negative 16, which is negative 16. And the two numbers are obviously going to be 8t minus 2t, because 8 minus 2 is plus 6 and 8 times negative 2 is negative 16 minus 16. And this is equal to t minus 2 on the top over, let's factorize these in pair. Common factor between these two is t. So we have t times t plus 8. Common factor between these two is negative 2 minus 2 times t plus 8. So this is equal to t minus 2 on the top over, we have a t plus 8 and a t plus 8 as a common factor between these two terms now. So take it out, and then we are left with t minus 2. So there you go. You have a common factor between the numerator and the denominator. Cross them off. There's a 1 here. So the answer is 1 over t plus 8. That's the simplified form of this fraction. Let's now try and simplify m squared minus m minus 2, that's the numerator, over m squared plus m minus 6. So let's try and factorize the numerator and the denominator. So this is equal to m squared on the top. Now we need to find two numbers that add up to negative 1 and that multiply to give us negative 2 times 1, which is negative 2. And obviously our two numbers would be negative 2. So we have negative 2m and positive 1, or plus m minus 2. Now negative 2 times positive 1 is negative 2, and negative 2m plus m is negative m. So we are not changing anything in this expression, we are just rewriting it. We are splitting up the term in m so that we could pair them up and factorize. Okay, on the bottom we have m squared. Now we need two numbers that add up to positive 1 and that multiply to give us negative 6, and the numbers are going to be positive 3. So we have plus 3m and negative 2 minus 2m minus 6. And 3m minus 2m is m, and 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Okay. Now time for us to pair them up and factorize. Common factor between these two is m times m minus 2. Common factor between these two, if there's nothing, remember, 1 is always a common factor between two numbers. So we have plus 1 times m minus 2 again. On the bottom, common factor between these two is m. So we have m times m plus 3. And then common factor between these two is negative 2. So we have m plus 3, because negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6. Is equal to, on the top there are two terms, common factor between them is m minus 2. Let's take that out, m minus 2. What's the leftover? M from the first term plus 1 from the second term over common factor between these two is m plus 3 times leftover is m minus 2. So now we have the numerator and the denominator in their factored form. Let's cross off the common factors. which is m minus 2 from the top with m minus 2 from the bottom. So the simplified form of this expression is m plus 1 on the top and m plus 3 on the bottom. Now before we conclude this video, I would like to stress that there's no guarantee that an algebraic fraction will always lend itself to simplification. Think about the numerical fraction 7 over 10. Can you simplify it? No, you cannot. This is the simplified form. So it could well be that you have an algebraic expression that cannot be further simplified. For example, what if you have xy over z? You don't know what x is, what y is, what z is, if there is any common factor between them. So it's simple. If there are just three unknowns, you cannot simplify it. This is the simplified form. But if you want to try to simplify a fraction, you should always rewrite the numerator and the denominator as a product of factors, as we have done in this example and the ones before.